In the 1980s, a single Canadian dollar was magic, worth more to a kid at Christmas than most realize today. It could buy a paper bag bursting with candy or a holiday toy, and the choices felt endless. That crisp green bill felt like a fortune in small hands, and the excitement of deciding how to spend it was part of the holiday. Before debit cards, and before the loonie even existed, that crisp bill promised delight and independence. But how far did $1 really go, and why did it feel like anything was possible the moment it hit your hand? A single step inside a corner store in 1980s Canada was enough to set a child's heart racing. Glass jars lined the counter, each one brimming with a different kind of treasure. There were Swedish berries, ruby red and plump, soft enough to squish between your fingers. Fuzzy peaches glistened with sugar, their tart scent floating above the licorice whips and peppermint sticks. Sour keys, with their neon colors and mouth-puckering bite, sat in neat rows inviting a challenge. Maynard's, the brand stamped on so many of these chewy gems, was a familiar sight on the handwritten price signs, 5 cents each. A dollar bill in a kid's pocket was a ticket to this world of abundance. 20 pieces for $1, sometimes more if you bargained or picked the smaller candies. The ritual was always the same. Elbows on the counter, finger pressed to the glass, weighing the options. Would it be 10 Swedish berries and 10 fuzzy peaches? Or a mix, with a couple of chocolate coins wrapped in gold foil for good luck? Chocolate coins cost a bit more, maybe 10 or 15 cents each, but they felt special, shiny, heavy, and just a little bit grown up. Candy canes and peppermint sticks, especially around Christmas, were everywhere, their stripes promising a burst of cool sweetness. The clerk, usually someone who knew your name or at least your family, would scoop the chosen treats into a thin paper bag. The bag always seemed too small for the haul inside, bulging at the seams, the scent of sugar and fruit mixing with the faint smell of newsprint. Sometimes the bag would tear before you got home, spilling a rainbow of candy onto the snow. No matter, there was always enough to share or to trade at recess the next day. For a child, the hardest part was not spending the dollar, it was deciding how to spend it. The choices were endless, and every piece felt like a small victory. In those moments, the world shrank to the space between your hands and the candy jar, and a single dollar felt impossibly rich. The anticipation, the counting, the slow, careful selection, these were the real gifts, tucked inside every overflowing paper bag. A few steps away from the candy counter, another kind of magic waited. On the far wall, rows of toys dangled from cardboard racks, each one promising adventure for pocket change. The corner store's toy section was a universe built for $1, and the friendly clerk, always ready with a wink or a joke, stood guard behind the till. Kids pressed their noses to the glass display or craned their necks to see what was new. There were bags of green plastic army men, stiff and ready for battle, stacked in neat piles for $0.25 or maybe 50 cents. Marbles, cat's eyes, steelies, and swirlies clinked together in mesh pouches, each one a ticket to playground bragging rights. Rubber balls in every shade bounced under the fluorescent lights, just waiting to slip from a mittened hand and roll down the aisle. Cap guns, with their shiny metal frames and rolls of paper caps, sat just out of reach, promising a few loud snaps before Christmas dinner. For a handful of coins, a kid could walk out with a yo-yo, a spinning top, or a set of jacks, games that filled snowy afternoons with friendly competition. Sticker books and coloring books, often bilingual in Quebec, offered page after page of possibility for under $1. Puzzle books, too, with mazes and word searches to keep busy on long car rides to Grandma's. Pickup sticks, bundled with a rubber band, cost just $0.10 or $2. The clerk knew most of the regulars by name and sometimes slipped an extra bouncy ball into the bag with a nod, especially if it was close to Christmas. The real fun started outside, where kids compared their hauls on the sidewalk. Army men were traded for marbles, stickers swapped for a turn at someone's new yo-yo. The playground was its own marketplace, and a single dollar could buy not just toys, but a place in the trading circle. For many, the corner store was the first lesson in spending, saving, and the thrill of a good deal. Every purchase was a chance to show off, to share, or to strike a bargain. And when the bell over the door jingled and you stepped out into the cold with a pocket full of treasures, it felt like the whole neighborhood was in on the secret. Woolworths at Christmas was a world apart. The front windows flashed with colored lights, drawing crowds onto the snowy sidewalk, while inside, the holiday aisle glittered with bins of silver tinsel and ornaments stacked shoulder high. For a child clutching a single dollar, the choices felt endless. Plastic figurines, tiny plush animals, and tin wind-up toys lined the shelves, each one promising a few minutes of magic. The smallest wind-ups, painted bright and stamped with Made in Hong Kong labels, started at 75 cents. Sometimes a lucky shopper could find one for even less in the discount bin. Every display seemed designed to tempt, with cheerful signs promising holiday bargains, everything under $1. The air buzzed with the sound of cash registers and the chatter of families. Parents compared prices, while kids weighed the thrill of a new toy against the sparkle of a shiny ornament to hang on the tree. The dollar bill in a mittened hand could buy a handful of tinsel, a small snowman ornament, or a wind-up Santa that waddled across the kitchen table. Leaving Woolworths with a paper bag of treasures, a child felt rich in possibility. Down the mall corridor, another kind of excitement pulsed from the arcade. Quarters clinked between fingers, each one holding the promise of a turn at Pac-Man, Space Invaders, or Donkey Kong. The glowing screens drew kids in, their faces lit by pixelated ghosts and spaceships. 4 games for $1, and if you played well, that dollar lasted even longer. The air filled with electronic bleeps, the smell of popcorn, and the shouts of friends cheering on a high score. Here, $1 did not just buy a toy or a treat. It bought time, minutes of pure electric joy, a chance to win bragging rights and a place in the crowd. In the world of the 5 and dime in the arcade, a single dollar could turn into a memory that lasted long after the last quarter dropped. $1 stretched further at home than anywhere else. In kitchens across the country, a loaf of bread cost 69 cents. A liter of milk sat just under $1. A chocolate bar, 35 cents if you picked the regular size, was still an occasional treat. Hockey cards came in waxy packs for $0.25, and comic books stacked near the checkout rarely broke the dollar mark. These were the quiet benchmarks of everyday spending, the numbers parents carried in their heads as December rolled around. When it came to Christmas stockings, parents became quiet magicians. With a few dollars, they could fill a sock to bursting. 10-cent oranges tucked into the toe remained a tradition handed down from leaner times when citrus was a rare luxury. Alongside the orange came foil-wrapped chocolate coins, a handful of candy, and maybe a small toy or two. The trick was not spending more, but making each dollar count, scouring flyers for deals, picking up a puzzle book for 50 cents, or slipping in a pack of hockey cards that doubled as playground currency. The abundance was real, but it was also an illusion crafted with care. Stockings looked full, heavy with promise, yet the total cost might not reach $5. For many families, especially in smaller towns or in tight years, this careful stretching of every cent was a point of pride. The orange in the toe was not just a snack, it was a lesson in gratitude, a reminder that joy could be built from simple things. In homes from Halifax to Saskatoon, the magic of Christmas morning came wrapped in thrift and love, measured out in coins and careful choices. Today, a single dollar barely buys a chocolate bar, but its meaning endures. As prices climb and choice explodes, The true value of giving and receiving cannot be measured by inflation alone. Sometimes the smallest bills still hold the richest memories. What did your dollar buy you? Share your memories below.